Mike Brown is making moves. The Knicks have just added a new associate head coach and a top defensive coordinator to Mike Brown's coaching staff. The Knicks coaching staff is finally starting to take shape. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are stealing multiple assistant coaches. The Knicks have been looking for a new associate head coach for Mike Brown for the last few weeks. Unfortunately, no matter where they went, they were instantly denied. And honestly, that's likely going to happen when you're going around the league trying to poach different assistant coaches. But the Knicks never gave up. The Knicks never stopped. And that same determination led New York to finding their new offensive coordinator and their newest associate head coach under Mike Brown. Shout out to Sham Sharania and Ian Bagley for breaking down this following information for us. According to them, Charlotte Hornets assistant coach Chris Jent is finalizing a deal to become the associate head coach of the New York Knicks under Mike Brown. New York and Tyler Glass of CSE Talent negotiated terms for Jent, who returns to the Knicks, where he spent the 1996-1997 season as a player. Bagley confirms this report with the following. The Knicks will land Chris Jent as their associate head coach and lead offensive assistant under head coach Mike Brown. Brendan O'Connor and Chris Jent will lead the defense and offense respectively under Mike Brown. Brown worked with Jent in Cleveland. Now he gets a promotion to come from the Charlotte Hornets to the New York Knicks. The New York Post and ESPN earlier noted that Jent and the Knicks were finalizing a deal, but we had no idea when that deal was going to be finalized. But it ended up being finalized yesterday evening. The Knicks offered Jent the job earlier this week after Pablo Prigioni and Mike Weiner had previously removed themselves from consideration. I love this move by the Knicks. You get yourself a new associate head coach under Mike Brown, and you also get a new offensive coordinator as well. He's a former Knick. He has experience at this level. Coming to New York, he has experience with Mike Brown, and he's getting a promotion. And the fact that he's a former Knick and the Knicks continue to try to bring in former Knick players to have a prominent role on Mike Brown's staff, this is exactly what I was hoping for and what I was wishing for. And I got my wish. Chris Jent as your offensive coordinator, some people just don't understand how good he was as a player, how gifted he was as a player. And running the offense for New York, that is going to be huge for the Knicks. The Knicks are absolutely going to get better now that Chris Jent has been added to the coaching staff. And we already knew the front bench coaching staff for New York has Rick Brunson. It has Brendan O'Connor. And there was one spot available. Now it's likely that spot is going to go to Chris Jent, the associate head coach and the new offensive coordinator for this Knicks team. And stop telling Leon Rose and this Knicks front office that they can't do something. Stop going to other teams to try to steal their assistant coaches. It's not going to happen. You are going to fail. Oh, yeah? Did they fail? Because last I checked, Chris Jent was with the Charlotte Hornets, and he left the Hornets to join the Knicks in another position. A better position, that's definitely true, but the Knicks were still able to steal him from Charlotte and bring him to New York. And that wasn't the only assistant coach the Knicks stole to add to Mike Brown's coaching staff. I also mentioned the Knicks were able to steal a top defensive coach. And that top defensive coach is now New York's new defensive coordinator, Brendan O'Connor. I understand. The Knicks made this move a couple of days ago, but unfortunately, at that point in time, I couldn't cover it. But now I have all the time in the world to break down who exactly is the Knicks' new defensive coordinator, why the Knicks stole him from the Los Angeles Clippers, and what role he's going to have for this Knicks team. Let's break down exactly who Brendan O'Connor is. According to Ian Begley, a source confirms Brendan O'Connor and the Knicks are closing in on a deal to add O'Connor as a top assistant on Mike Brown's staff. O'Connor has a strong defensive acumen and has worked for the Clippers under both Ty Lue and Doc Rivers. He will be a top assistant on defense with the Knicks. Ian Begley continues here by stating, a Western Conference executive said that Brendan O'Connor is a great get for the Knicks. O'Connor will be a top defensive assistant on Mike Brown's staff. According to this Western Conference executive, a hell of a basketball coach and a great guy, the Knicks just made their best offseason acquisition. And shout out to New York Basketball on the app X for breaking down all of this information for us. According to them, new Knicks defensive coordinator Brendan O'Connor, top right of the image that you're looking at right now, worked closely with the Clippers defensive coordinator Jeff Van Gundy and stepped in for Van Gundy when he was on leave after the All-Star break for the Clippers. The Clippers were number 3 in defense in the NBA last season. What I love about both of these moves is that, number one, the Knicks did something that everybody told them they couldn't do. They stole 2 top assistant coaches with their respective franchises and enticed them to join New York under new head coach Mike Brown. But both of these guys have connections to the Knicks. With Chris Jent, he was a former player here from 1996 to 1997. And now he's the Knicks' new offensive coordinator. You gotta love that. And with Brendan O'Connor, he was an assistant coach for the Knicks so many years ago. And now he's returning under head coach Mike Brown. This is exactly what the Knicks needed to do. And for weeks, they have been trying to do it, but they were failing left and right. They couldn't find anybody for Mike Brown's coaching staff, but they never gave up. They continued to push, and now they have found themselves 2 great assistant coaches to add to Mike Brown's staff. But once all of these moves were finished and they were finalized, the number one thing I did was check with the odd makers, because every time a big move happens, a coaching change, a new associate head coach gets added, the Knicks make a big move in free agency, or whatever the case may be, I look at the odd makers to see what they do with that information. Do the Knicks odds get better? Do they get worse? Do they stay the same? I wanted to know. And shout out to channel sponsor FanDuel for breaking down the odds of which team has the best chance to win the NBA Finals next season. Shout out to FanDuel for giving us these odds on who's going to win the NBA Finals next season. And as you can see here, the odds, they've changed. Now, not drastically, but the Knicks, before these moves happened, they were number 2 on this list. Now, they're firmly number 3 as one of the favorites to win the NBA Finals next season at plus 800. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've jumped ahead of New York now at plus 750. And OKC, they remain number 1 at plus 230. But I want to make sure I mention this. Even though right now the Knicks are 3rd on that list, they could vault all the way up to 2nd place if they make the right next move in free agency. We all remember, New York has one final vet minimum roster spot to give to a veteran player on a vet minimum contract. But they have to still make that decision. Which player are they going to add? I'll tell you one thing. If the Knicks add the right player to this team, those odds, they're going to change again. And in my opinion, they're going to change this time to favor the Knicks. New York, for the entire offseason, has been flirting with that number 2 spot in terms of the odds to win the NBA Finals next season. And if they make the right addition in free agency, they will be number 2 once again. But I have to give praise to Leon Rose and this Knicks front office, including Mike Brown. Limited to start off. Didn't know who his coaching staff was going to be. Kept knocking on doors and kept getting rejected. But Mike Brown, this Knicks front office, they never stopped. They never wavered. And now we have a coaching staff that can be respected around the league, that Mike Brown created, that he wants. Now all we have to do is finish finalizing this roster and then start looking toward training camp and seeing what Mike Brown's going to do with this team, with this entire roster. I am hype and excited for next season. And how can you not be? New head coach, great new coaching staff, great new additions, great chemistry, and New York still has all of the assets they need if and when a star player becomes available that they want to trade for. Everything, and I do mean everything, is looking up right now for the Knicks. But what about you guys? What do you think about New York finding their new offensive coordinator and their new associate head coach under Mike Brown and Chris Jent? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.